Can't You Hear Me Knocking by the Rolling Stones. We're in an open G tuning. This was highly requested after my top 5 Rolling Stones songs in open G tuning came out. People wanted to learn this one as well. And we do not have to cut off string 6, so I can put these away. So I'm in open G tuning, but we're keeping string 6 on. And I don't actually recommend that you cut off string 6 if you want to get into open G tuning, unless you're going to keep one guitar in open G with 5 strings at all times. It's kind of bad for your guitar, but I did it for comic effect as well. But Keith Richards often does. In this song, no, because of a couple of licks. So the tuning, first of all, just in case you've never covered open G tuning before, we have string 6 is a D note, so it goes down a whole tone. String 5 is a G, so that's gone down a whole tone as well. D and G are the same as standard, as is B. And string 1 goes down a whole tone as well to D, finally. Tone-wise, I've got my Volavasti guitar. It's on the neck pickup, which I think is used in this one, though it sounds great on the bridge as well. Clean tone, first of all. That's with no pedals. So my Victory Sheriff isn't doing much, to be honest. It's super clean. I'm using a Boss fuzz that's from my old ME70, just to prove that you can kind of get these sort of sounds with any gear that you happen to have, so long as it does enough stuff. So the fuzz sound, and that gives us something not too dissimilar to Satisfaction's fuzz sound, but a lot less fuzz. So I'm only have the fuzz at kind of 4 out of 10. I also have some slap back delay on this, just to give it a sense of the room sound, which was probably how the amp was mic'd up. I don't know whether there's any actual delay on it, but there's lots of room sound on that original recording. And that should get you pretty close. So let's have a look at the notes here. Can't You Hear Me Knocking is based on double stops from the 10th fret, sliding to the 9th fret to 7 on the middle 2 strings on 3 and 4, going back to 9 to 7, and then the same move on strings 4 and 5, and then briefly finishing the riff like that. That's a clean tone with the fuzz. So 10, slide to 9, 7, 9, 7, change strings, 10, slide to 9, 7, 2 notes just here at the 9th fret and 7, and that's those last 4 notes as a riff. There's then a blues shuffle, which sounds a lot like... So that's 2 riffs for 1 in this one. It's basically Born to Be Wild as well. And that's the whole thing, other than very small variations. So once you've got that main riff, let me talk you through the variations. The main riff one more time. That's the first bar, second bar. That's the blues shuffle riff. Then we have a very staccatoed version, or a reduced version of the main riff. And that's where, from here, it starts to do at the end, rather than going to string 6, it goes to string 4. I've seen some places this tab does as open. I don't think it is that, because I don't get the sound of open strings. I'll link to the tab I'm using below, which is a Guitar Pro's tab, actually, which is fantastic. I'm finding Guitar Pro, their version of all the tabs, fantastic. I highly recommend it. It's not an affiliate thing. I'm just using it myself. I think it's great. So we've done bars 1 and 2. Bar 3 is that reduced version. Bar 4 is the main riff again. practically the same as bar 1, though it's a little different at the end. It finishes, is what the tab says. That's the end of bar 4. Bar 5 is a Chuck Berry style. This is bending strings 3 and 4 down at the 9th fret, just to kind of get that sound with a bend going down and then back to pitch. So up in pitch, but we're physically bending the strings down. Finished like that. Bar 6 is a return to the blues shuffle, but done slightly differently. And bar 7, we have a reduced version of the main riff, just on the, what is a D chord essentially. Moving down to a C chord, which is at the 5th fret. And finishing with this riff, which pretty much gets you through most of the song, or all the verses. So let's have a recap of bar 7 and 8 as I'm reading this. To the D, and that gets us up to verse 1. So let's look at all of that again. I'm just going to play the full thing super slowly, reading the tab as I go to make sure I'm teaching this as accurately as possible. You let me know how you get on in the comments below. Slow playthrough of all that intro now, and the count-in, it starts on the 16th, the and of 1, so just after beat 1. In 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. However, before we move on to looking at this song in any more detail, I just want to let you know my thoughts on this, how to learn songs like this, which in my opinion, it's really important, of course, to learn it from this video, listen to the original recording, and work from the tab that I'll link to, that I'm following in the description below. But then there's this secondary process that has to happen, in my opinion, which is treating this pure flow state and getting used to playing this while not looking at the tab at all, playing it from your musical memory, but also varying this riff in the same way that Keith Richards does, particularly when he plays this stuff live. Learn from that, especially if this is a skill you've not cultivated yet. Yes, learn it as accurately as possible, learn it note for note, learn it from the tab as much as you desire, but don't neglect this secondary way of playing guitar, which is once you've learnt the kind of gist of it or learnt it as accurately as you want, vary it yourself, go pure flow state, play along, jam along to the original recording. I feel it's really important. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. We're now going to move on to the verse, and I'll let you know now we're only going to look at the first 3 minutes of this song, because the original's like 7 minutes from the album version, and it gets into extended jams. So we're just going to look at the verse and the chorus now and teach you these fantastic licks. Verse 1 begins with an octave D note at strings 6 and 5, 7th fret and 0. It then plays this lick, which it often does before it goes to the next chord. This is a D chord. It's then going to go to a C chord for the second bar of the verse. So 1, 2, 3. Essentially the intro, but without repeating a note. Just down 10, 9, 7, 10, 9, 7, 5th fret. And then almost the same lick as we finished the intro with, but this time it's going to go far more double stops, and the third and little finger repeats itself to mimic the Can't You Hear Me Knocking that's going to happen in the lyrics in a little bit. 2, 3. Same thing again. Then we move to a G chord and do this fantastic open G lick, which you could even play on slide and steal this for loads of other songs. Ah, yeah, let's add some reverb to that just to make it sound cool. That was my delay pedal, sorry, not reverb. That sounded fantastic. That's the stuff. And that is 0 on string 5, the open G, sliding up to the major third of a G chord at the 4th fret, open D string, open G at the 3rd string, then playing the G note on string 4 at 5th fret, and that lick is... that's one to get as a unit, as one component. Repeating a lot of notes there, but the open string and the 5th fret there, giving it that different quality, which makes it sound so cool. Then, bending down, string 4 at the 3rd fret. Obviously the string pitch-wise goes up, but we bend it physically down to the open 4th string, 5 to 7 on string 5. That whole unit as one. And of course you could do all of this with one finger, which is useful if you want to get into kind of slide playing. And it's essentially just a repetition of that, again varying it flow state wise as you see fit from there. But let me play all of that with you nice and slowly. Join in with me if you wish. In 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Same thing again. Back to a D, and then the whole thing kind of starts again. To G. That keeps repeating until the lyrics, "Can you hear me knocking?" have finished, and then we move on to this chorus. The chorus is an open G chord, just on the thicker strings really. String 5, 4 and 3. Open G tuning after all, so that's our G chord. Then to an F chord, which we're playing this Rolling Stone style. It's the first time that that lick's kind of cropped up. It's in the same position actually as Start Me Up, which is what I just played there. This is how we play an F chord, and then to a flat first finger to C, and then we're back to open G. So just strumming the chorus. Back to G. G, F, C, and G. Repeated until we go back to the lick. And the whole thing kind of cycles again. On the repetition of the G chord, we can of course add in the same lick we already did, it's just without the open string. Let me add the delay onto that. Ah, yeah. So slide to the 4th fret, string 4, string 3, string 4, the same note on the G. And this would add into 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, we're back to the riff. That's how to play the licks from the first 3 minutes of Can't You Hear Me Knocking. I'll leave some other Rolling Stones songs on screen now that I think you might enjoy. Let me know any requests in the comments below, and I really hope to see you next time.